What's going on, y'all? So I am in Detroit, Michigan, walking over to what I believe is called Bale Island. And, this has kind of been a crazy little getaway trip. Last weekend, I went to, what was it called? I went to Battle Creek, Michigan. So I try to make these videos and I try to put kind of like a legal story in there. And at the same time, this is really about me blogging about my trip to Detroit, Michigan to play poker. I've never been to Detroit, Michigan. This is my first time. So it's been interesting. It's been interesting to say the least. To say the least, this trip has been interesting as hell. So about a week ago, I met this little female and we seemed to see eye to eye. And, we were basically just getting to know each other. I mean, she's much younger than I am. And, she's much younger. And we seem to have a connection. We seem to have some sort of connection. So I was like, hey, look, I am planning to, drive out here to Detroit, Michigan to play some poker. If you want, you can come along. So she tells me, she's like, I'm down, but I smoke and I smoke a lot. And I'm like, cool, no problem. Like I smoke weed myself, but I don't smoke it on a regular basis. So what ends up happening is that from time to time I'll go to the dispensary and I'll end up buying weed and it just and I'll put it like in a mason jar. So it'll just sit there. So this particular time I ended up having a small little mason jar full of weed. So I was like, well, cool. I'll just bring this on the trip and this should be more than enough to kind of like appease her while, we drive out here. So funny enough, I just kind of had a conversation with her. I said, well, look, she tells me, she goes, well, I'll drive, I'll help you drive. And she was like, believe it or not, I can drive the whole way if you want me to. And I was like, well, cool. But I was like, oh man, this is absolutely beautiful. Wait till you guys see this. So I was like, cool. I mean, you can drive. Man, check this view out. This shit is amazing. This is nice. Very nice. So this story is just going to get crazy. So I tell her, I said, look, I don't mind you driving, but I really don't want to smoke in the car on the way because, there's lots of cops on the expressway. And I said, the last time I went to Battle Creek, Michigan, to me, it just seems like they was thirsty and they were actually trying to write tickets and get arrested. So she goes, and this is a young chick, I'm older, I'm the, responsible, don't have any fun type. And I said, well, look, I'm just a little bit nervous about, driving and having you smoke in the car. And she goes, you scary? I said, look, I get my bread by being squeaky clean. That's how I make a living. When a background check is ran on me, nothing is gonna pop up on that background check. Absolutely nothing. And I said, that's how I survive. I need a clean background so I can make a living. I'm not a street nigga. I don't make money in the streets. I make my money, legitimately. And in order to do that, in order for me to make the most, I have to have a squeaky clean black background. I said, but you know what? Don't even sweat it. Let's just roll out. So we roll out. The trip goes, so far, initially, it went fine. Like I said, I had just met her and we basically, had a really good conversation. I was like, man, this is really working out because, typically the best way to get to know somebody is to take a long drive with them. And there's nothing but you and them and conversation, right? So there's nothing but me and her in conversation. But there were telltale signs before we took the trip of just being money hungry. But I'm from Chicago, and you see that all the time. And women, they're constantly scheming on you. They're constantly trying to find ways to get extra money out of you, so on and so forth. So before we actually left, she's like, well, I need to stop at Former Mills and I need to stop at City Trend to get some clothes. And I was like, well, go ahead. I was like, go ahead and just call me when you're ready, because my general consensus, my general sense, is that if you go into the store with her, she's going to be expecting you to, pay for things. And I'm pretty sure that was the case. And I don't really know her that well. So it's like, I want to avoid her trying to get in my pocket as much as possible. Now, I get it. We're going on a trip, so we're going to spend some money. And I don't mind paying for money, paying for things of which we both can enjoy. So I don't mind that. So what ends up happening is we finally get to Detroit, and I go into the casino, MGM Casino, to just kind of like peep the scene and figure out what the next move was going to be. And the whole thing is that I didn't really plan this in advance. So that was like my fault and all that. I didn't plan the trip in advance. This was just a grab your shit and let's go. As a matter of fact, I think when I told her about the trip, I told her like a Tuesday or Thursday. I told her about Tuesday or Thursday. That's when I told her about the trip. And what ends up happening, we end up, rolling out that Friday. So I go into the casino, peep the scene. I just said, look, your job is just to find a hotel. So this heifer couldn't even, do that. She couldn't even, find a hotel. I mean, I was pretty much just going to pay for it. She couldn't find a hotel. And I'm not even going to call her heifer for that, because as we get into the story, you'll see the reasons. One of the reasons she couldn't find a hotel. I think there's two reasons. Number one, she was basically just useless. And then number two, to her defense, there was a lot going on. We're going to get into that. So I come back, she's out at the car. I go in the hotel. She stays out at the car and she's smoking. I come back and she goes, well, I found this hotel and it's at the Windsor. And I'm like, okay, it's like $83 a night. I'm like, okay, well, shit, that's pretty expensive, because I think the hotel that I got quoted inside the casino was about $500 a night. And it's like, never, ever, ever try to book a hotel inside of a casino, because they're always going to upcharge you. So we head over to the Windsor Hotel, and mind you, we have this weed in the car. And I noticed we're taking some type of special path, a special trail. I just plug it into my GPS, and I didn't, pay attention to it. And we're taking, well, actually, she just brought it up in her GPS, and we're taking this path, and it just seemed a little bit odd. So we pull up to like this gate, and as it turns out, it's a Canadian border, and they're like, we can't let you through because this is, because the border is still closed on the Canadian side. So he sends us back over to the American side. So we turn around and head back. And as we head back, what I notice is that the U.S. borders decide to, the border agents decide to search the car. And as they're searching the car, of course, what do they find? They find the mason jar full of weed that I had. I'm like, oh my God. I said, my life is about to be turned upside down over some silly shit. Now, mind you, marijuana is legal in Canada. Marijuana is legal in Chicago. And marijuana is legal in Detroit, Michigan. So for the most part, this shit is 100% legal. However, on the federal facilities, is illegal. So I'm like, shit. So I was like, put the jar in your purse, put the jar in your purse. And she was like, I ain't putting that shit in my purse. I'm like, I brought this for you. Hey, what's going on? So of course she didn't put it in a purse. It wouldn't matter anyway because they told us to leave everything in the car and get out the car. And they basically just ripped the car apart and just searched for everything. Right? You know, they just searched the entire car. So he comes back and they basically take me to a little room and they basically do a extensive body search on me and they separate us. And I'm pretty sure they two females came out, so I'm sure they did the same thing to her. And so at that point, you know, the federal agent turns to me and he goes, well, this is just going to be an administrative action. It's not actually going to be criminal. So that's kind of like a relief right there, that it's like administrative and it's not criminal. So I don't really have to worry about running back and forth to court, anything. So that was a relief. But the only problem with the whole fiasco is that we ended up spending we got there at 7. By the time we got out of there, it was like 1 o'clock, almost 2. So then we had to basically pick up where we left off on getting a hotel. And that basically proved an impossible task because, as it turns out, this is Grand Prix weekend. And not only is it Grand Prix weekend, it's LGBTQ weekend in Detroit. So every fucking hotel in the city, downtown, is booked to the maximum. Every hotel is completely booked. So I'm like, holy shit, this shit just sucks. So we ended up going way on the other side of Detroit. I think it's called Gratian and 8 Mile, and we got some shitty hotel. And at that point, the experience was just totally ruined. And so she's pissed off. She's not talking to me. I'm feeling like, I don't even know how to feel at this point. Because it's like, now I'm, here with this person I don't know. And I'm here with this person I don't know, and they're upset. Oh, you can hear the cars and everything. I don't know how much further I'm going to be able to go because apparently they're having this Grand Prix event on this actual island. So I don't know if I can purchase a ticket to get in or if I need to have a ticket in advance. If the tickets are under like $100, I'll go ahead and purchase it. But let me just pull over here because I don't know how. Actually, I'll see how much further I can go. So we finally get a hotel. We go ahead and camp, and of course, I want to do what I came here to do, which is basically play poker. So I just kind of left her at the hotel, and she was like, well, bring some food when you come back. I said, okay, cool. So I leave her at the hotel. I go back and I end up, playing poker. And as it turns out, I didn't play that many hands. I think the biggest hand I had like maybe a few small hands where I won some money. I think one hand, what did I get? One hand, when I first sat down, what did I get? I got something like a straight, I think. I got a straight and I won probably like $70 or something like that. And then I got a flush, but it was a weak flush, like a diamond flush. Actually, I'm gonna turn around because it's just too much noise. So I think I got like a diamond flush. And with this diamond flush, what ends up happening is that I end up having like a 6 of diamonds. And it comes down to me and this one guy, and I'm trying to bluff him off his diamond. I know he has a diamond because he stayed in the hand. We were just like trading bets back and forth. I think on the flop, there was like a flush draw. I bet $20 because I had a pair with the diamond. He calls, and he actually had nothing but a shitty flush draw. The turn comes, he gets his flush, I get my flush. So at that point, I bet it again for another $20. And then basically he calls. And then like at the end, I bet like something like 20 or $10 or something like that. And then we both show our hands, and he has a 6 of, I have the 6 of diamond high flush, and he has a 7 high flush, and of course he wins. And then I think from there, oh, look at the geese. And then basically from there, I go to another table because that table ended up breaking. It was pretty late at night. It's like almost 3 o'clock at this point. And I actually end up getting a set of 2 trip twos. I was like in the under the gun, and I had like ace deuce of diamonds. And essentially the guy, he basically bet something like 50. No, he bet, it was a, I'm sorry, I'm fucking the story up. But basically it was a, what do you call it? It was a straddle. So the bet was initially 5. I called, and then several other people called. Then the guy bets $25 to try to take it down. I'm like, fuck this, I got odds. I called the $25. I ended up getting deuces, trip deuces, right? The flop was like queen, deuce, deuce. I had ace deuce. And from there, he basically tried to bluff me off the hand. Not bluff me off the hand, but he basically was just hammering at me, trying to get me to fold. And I'm just calling. So he's trying to figure out what's going on. The river comes, and basically he ends up shoving like another 100. And what ends up happening is that of course I call, and what he has is like a ace queen. And I ended up, winning that hand because I had trip deuces. So I think I was totally, I'm up $250. And, I plan to go back tonight and just see how things go. But right now I'm just gonna peek the scene over here. I came over here to get a little walk and to, check out some of the Detroit scenery. So I'm going to check out this Gale Park, I think it's called. I'm gonna probably check out the Grand Prix, then get something to eat, and it's gonna be back to playing poker. So that's it for this video. Please like, share, and subscribe.